everybody. Thanks so much for sticking around for the talk back. My name's Adam Greenfield, and I have nothing to do with this production. I'm actually the new play development director of Playwright Horizons, but these guys generously asked me to come help facilitate this discussion. And but not being part of the production team, I can kind of take a moment to just gush for a second. But thank you guys so much. What a terrific play, a terrific performance, and it's a great production. I read the play yesterday, just kind of lightly and sort of quickly, and I really was clear how much I was enjoying the writing of it. But it wasn't until I was watching the play just now that so many other things resonated with me that I actually wish I was doing this talk back tomorrow night after I've had more time to think about it. But I kind of want to sort of start by asking you, when you sat down to write the play, what was one of the first things you knew about what you wanted to do? Did you know the characters first, or did you have an idea of what the setting was, or that there was a particular person you wanted to play, or what was the first thing that you knew, and how long ago did you start writing it?
I started it probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I was mainly interested in exploring how people who think they know a lot about the world, but are very sheltered from it, would be when confronted with the world, somebody from the outside world literally falling into their laps, how they would react to it. And so the two characters, one is intellectually curious about the world, and one is, like, you could say, more physically or experientially curious about the world. That's Vinny. He's into music. He's into, he says that I should fight back to the kids who beat me up, whereas I apologize for them because of socioeconomic statistics. And then I thought it'd be interesting to introduce this otherworld element, and because she's a pretty young girl, we both react to her kind of whatever our weird reactions are times 10. He sexualizes her, and I imbue her with wisdom that she may or may not have. And so yeah, that was the idea I started.
And I read one other play of yours. It was a while back, so my memory was a little bit foggy. But it's The Revisionist. Mm-hmm. It seems like there are some similarities in the way that in The Revisionist somebody goes to Poland, right?
Yeah.
And he's staying with a distant family member.
Yeah.
Can you tell a little bit about that play? And
yeah, I'll pitch it in case there's somebody. Right. Yeah, it's similar, not similar in tone. This is more comedic, but that's it's about a sheltered American kid who goes to Poland to try to finish the science fiction novel he's working on. He's not a good writer. He has writer's block. He goes to Poland to stay with an older second cousin. And she's like 78 years old, and she survived the war in this insane way. And it's about their relationship and how they both kind of expected different things from each other, and how they kind of grow together. But again, it focuses on themes of somebody who knows a lot about the world but has never experienced it, and so that kind of weird juxtaposition and the gap and the huge valley that separates experience and knowledge.
Yeah, and that's something that sort of struck me as I was watching this play, was that that in both plays the character. Well, I mean, I sort of assumed when I was reading The Revisionist, because I was also familiar with you as an actor, that I was picturing you in the role as a and again, it was clear when I was reading this play, I didn't know that's an opening, which part we were going to be playing at first, but then I quickly figured it out. I was really surprised when I showed up. That both of these characters sort of have all these assumptions about the world that they're, for Edgar, there's all these assumptions about Asuncion, and for the character in Revisionist, there's these assumptions about Poland and about the war and about the family legacy that then he somehow there's an awakening in both of those things. Is that like an idea that you feel that you?
Yeah, I'm writing it because I'm writing it to explore in my personal life. The difference between I'm so inexperienced, but I know a lot because my degree is anthropology and I have Wikipedia on my telephone. So it's important for me to explore in myself the actual ignorance I have about the world, because I haven't experienced much of it, but I know a lot about it. So it's a weird dichotomy. So when I'm writing the characters, I'm really just trying to, in a way, explore myself, and then for comedic purposes, make fun of myself and make fun of people like me.
And do you feel like there's like what is it, there's that thing that he says at one point that Americans there's this
false superior perspective.
Yeah. But then at the same time, like with every breath of like with his character, it's filled with a deep sense of inferiority at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I feel like it's tied in. I mean, one of the things that I'm still trying to process, having just seen it, is when he's called selfish at the end.
Yeah.
In what way is he selfish, and how does that tie into his American character?
Because he doesn't ever ask anybody about themselves. He doesn't treat anybody like an individual. He sees people either as victims or as oppressors. And so the kids that beat him up in the beginning, they were actually oppressing him physically, but he thinks of them as victims because he's the white American in that situation. And then with her, he sees himself as the oppressor, so he has to overly patronize her and overly victimize her, or imbue her with victimhood. And it's because he sees the world in a very immature black and white way. So when she says he's selfish, he says, no, I'm not selfish. All I think about is other people, because that he genuinely thinks all he thinks about is other people, but he doesn't think about them as individuals. And insofar as their relationship to him, he thinks about them as statistics. And then he decides, should I like them, or should I feel bad for them, or should I hate them, or should I be scared of them?
And so, and as you're writing, just as a writer, do you think about that as a larger picture of as a larger metaphor about the nation? Or are you thinking about it specifically as this one person?
Well, when I'm writing it, I think about it as one person, but all the time in my personal life, think about that as a metaphor. I find it strange that people think that way, and I think that way too. But when I'm doing the character, I'm thinking just what he would say right now in the situation to that person.
And how much of the set? I mean, the set is also like we have our set right now.
Yeah, John McDermott.
It's really it's so detailed with all these things. I mean, how much of the set do you is specified in the script? What were the design conversations like? Those early design conversations like, and what were some of the early ideas that you guys had, and how did that evolve?
Well, unfortunately, when Jesse first wrote the play, it was set in Poughkeepsie, and so John went to Poughkeepsie and took a bunch of pictures, and then we changed it to Binghamton. And so I'm sorry that you're seeing a Poughkeepsie set for a Binghamton play. I think it kind of works, but...
Wait, where's Binghamton?
Binghamton, right around.
Okay.
Upstate.
Oh, so it's the same. Okay.
Yeah, Stephanie, my assistant, found out that there was no graduate school at Vassar, so we couldn't have it in Poughkeepsie anymore. But do you want to talk about how much you specify?
Yeah, I just pictured it as like an attic apartment and just crammed with. Well, I didn't picture it as detailed as it was, and was so delighted when John presented the set because it's so wonderfully detailed. I mean, really, the truth is every single book in there belongs there and would belong to this character. So it's really, he did a wonderful job, and I was overwhelmed.
Yeah, so I felt like I just kept noticing more and more about it as the play went on. And it's also such a weird apartment. It's like the top floor of a house.
Yeah, that's what actually when John first presented me with some drawings, I was like, oh, the architecture is so interesting, like how and it's one of those places where you can't, when you're standing by the window, you can't actually stand up. And he was like, well, it says attic apartment. And I was like, oh, I should read the play, probably. The very first stage direction is attic apartment. Set designers, luckily, great set designers think about those things. But yeah, well, John and I talked about, when the lights come up, you want to be like, oh, yeah. Right, that kind of place that everyone remembers, I certainly remember living in places like this with a detour sign on milk crates for a coffee.
Right. We need to put something on the couch because it's actually too dirty.
The couch actually is pretty dirty.
And has the play changed a whole lot over the course of rehearsals?
Just tonight.
You have to unpack that.
I mean, it's normally not. It's more normally not. I mean, thank you for coming. It played very weirdly comedic tonight. It doesn't always play that. I didn't intend that to be the case.
That's not true.
No, I intended it to be funny, but not To the weird extent that it was. And it's weird for us because this quiz is very new for us. You're seeing a very early show, and we're still reacting to the audience because we've been performing it for the last month and a half to Kip. And you know, he stopped laughing a month ago. So.
A month ago, we had a month ago, like the second day of rehearsal.
No, I mean, so it's really new for us to present it to an audience, and we're reacting, and weird. You know, it's weird. You know, people laugh, and then you miss the line. You know, we missed the line, so we are confused. Should we go back? It's been confusing for us. So, and this is very fresh. We're getting our sea legs, and so it changes based on that. But yeah, in rehearsal, little stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably be uninteresting. They used to exit in Act 1, now they enter, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was actually talking to